Scandinavian earth lies, the trees glistening and frozen, the fjords carved by forces so determined, so patient. And this is home for a very unique group of people. People not closeted by the ice and snow, but challenged to move against it and move over it. They begin their journeys in their youth and keep on going. To live in Scandinavia is to ski. And from these frozen practice grounds of Norway, Sweden, and Finland come champions. Today from Norway, we'll see the strides of Anette Boe, who skis the snow like glass, and jumper pair Bergerud, who skis and then flies. In Sweden, all the young cross-country skiers want to be like Gunde Svan. We'll see why. And Kari Harkone will try to make Finland a little larger on the map. The challenge of competition lies ahead for them and the other great skiers of the world in Seefeld, Austria, which has preserved its tradition of Innsbruck Olympics past. When these competitors see white, their hearts and minds begin to race. Today, it's cross-country skiing and 70-meter ski jumping at the World Nordic Skiing Championships on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Peaks that soar to the clouds, glaciers that hold the secrets of time, so forbidding as to say look but don't touch. Yet those who have leave crosses at a point they know is so close to heaven. The Alps of Austria make this part of Earth a special place. In the valleys below are towns like Seefeld, clock towers of the 16th century, nightlife of the 20th, horse-drawn sleighs, and Olympic history. It is just the way you'd expect it to be in Austria. We are here for the 95 World Nordic Skiing Championships. The nations of the world who love to compete on snow are here to crown world champions. We'll begin with cross-country skiing, and later we will have ski jumping. The word Nordic here is critical in describing the championships. It tells us the heritage of the sports is Scandinavian. The Scandinavians are here, and they are powerful. I'm Trautwig, and I'm standing on the finish line of the cross-country course here in Seefeld. And it is very important that I'm standing here because in 1976, on this finish line, Bill Koch set American history. He became the first American to capture a medal in the Olympics in cross-country skiing. It was a silver in the 30-kilometer race. No American had done it before. No American has done it since. And now Bill Koch returns 9 years later to Seefeld, Austria, not as a competitor, but as a commentator. And he returns to find a sport that's in turmoil. Everyone's upset in this sport because of a new technique called skating, and they think Bill Koch is the man who introduced it a couple of years ago. Bill, tell me the story.
Well, my thinking is that the most important thing is to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, and I'm not so concerned with how it looks. So in 1981, when I took a break from the World Cup circuit, I went on the World Loppet circuit, which has courses that are much flatter than these, and everyone was skating. And I thought that really could work in World Cup also. So when I came back to World Cup the next year, I used it to my advantage, and it worked very well.
So it's a vast departure from the original technique, but what is skating?
Well, it's a total departure from traditional technique, and that traditional technique involves all the motion to be in a line with the tracks you're skiing in. Now, skating introduces a whole new lateral movement to the sport, much the same as speed skating, where you're pushing off to the side, help to propel yourself down the track in this new way.
So imagine if they said we're raising the basketball hoops to 12 feet, or we're playing football with a ball. There'd be an uproar in the United States, but Bill, I don't think anything like what we've seen here in Europe.
This is really major. It's probably the biggest, most controversial and emotional issue that the sport has ever faced. And the Scandinavians are just very set to see their sport change in the way it looks. And skating really does look a lot different from traditional technique.
These were the 35th Nordic World Championships, and after 34, a tremendous Scandinavian dominance is revealed by these medal standings. Norway, Finland, and Sweden, 3 of the top 4 spots. And now in 1985, Norway out of this young lady, bubbly Anette Boe.
Anette adapted very well to the new skate techniques because she's very open-minded and flexible athlete.
And Bill, in this 10-kilometer race, she pushed it out from start to finish. And when it was over, she collapsed with a gold medal, winning over the star of Sarajevo, Marlicia Kurvisniemi, formerly Hamalainen, and stealing a lot of her thunder. And it was only an indication of things to come. 2 days later, she covered 5 kilometers in just over 15 minutes and gave us a beautiful smile to match the sunny skies. Anette Boe had 2 gold medals, and Norway was dominating the women's competition. It was then on to the 4x5K relay. 4 skiers, 5 kilometers each, and Norway was the clear favorite with Anette Boe starting them off.
She was particularly motivated because of the past difficulties she's had with her ski association, which kept her from representing Norway in the Olympics.
And Norway had the lead when Grete and Nykkelmo came in to tag Berit Aunli for the final leg, but the pole cracked. And there was a mad scramble on the part of Nykkelmo to hand Aunli her pole so that she could complete the race.
This was an unfortunate break for Norway. Watch Nykkelmo's left knee break pole. The carbon fiber poles are very brittle to side blows. Aunli didn't even know it was broken, and she tried in vain to pick it up. Her next alternative was to try to get another from her teammate, and even that was difficult. But the harm was done. The Soviets got the break they needed and made the contact.
It was Anfisa Romanova of the Soviet Union who carried her team to the gold medal finish, Norway the silver. But Norway came back in glorious style in the 20-kilometer race, placing 1 through 4. Anette Boe had her 4th medal. So rewarding. This was a skier who had been gotten by her team a year ago.
Yeah, last year they didn't believe in me, and that was it. I wasn't in very good shape in Sarajevo, but they didn't let me race.
Did you still believe in yourself, though?
Yeah, I've been fighting for this for the last 5 years, so I'm really happy for this. I really got a lot of support after I was coming home from Norway last year after Sarajevo, and that was very good for me.
Anette Boe, a Nordic world champion and really the story of the women's competition. Upcoming, Seefeld challenges the men. Austria as the 1985 World Nordic Skiing Championships continued. The men's competition was led by Gunde Svan of Sweden. He was the best in the 30 and 50-kilometer races.
Here's an example of a fiercely independent thinker who's dominated the sport the last couple of years with 4 medals at the Olympics.
In the 15-kilometer race, about 8 miles, Kari Harkone of Finland found somewhere deep in his body the strength to make this finish. Number 58 in blue.
My heart always skips a beat in these sprints to the finish, because if they skate in the last 200 meters, they're disqualified, and they've been skating the whole race.
It was another Scandinavian gold as the skating controversy continued.
Yeah, I can see 2 years ago we thought it was good technique, and you can use that as in a part of the tracks. But now they're skating all the tracks, and we think it's a new sport, and we don't like it.
It is the fastest stride, and it is also the most efficient one. So I think we'll see more of it. The Scandinavians and some people are trying to block its development, and they want to go back to traditional skiing. And if they do, they're going to have a slower sport.
And so the arguments continued in Seefeld, Austria, but so did the skating. The crowds returned on another day for perhaps the most dramatic of cross-country events, the 4x10K relay. 4 skiers, 10 kilometers apiece, about 6 miles. Sweden was out in front during the second leg, led by Thomas Vosberg.
Thomas is a seasoned veteran who won 2 golds last year in Sarajevo. I've always been impressed with his mental capabilities as he gave Sweden a 30-second lead after his leg.
And it was that 30-second lead that Thomas Eriksson carried down this seemingly easy hill. And then this, the crash, and Sweden's hopes were shattered.
His body wasn't hurt, but he lost his pacing and momentum, and Sweden fell out of contention.
As the third leg came to a close, the Swedish faithful were quiet. It was the Norwegians and the Italians who were delirious at the thought of victory. 34-year-old Maurizio De Zolt of Italy gave the Italians this burst of enthusiasm by moving in front.
He was really turning it over here with a tremendous racing tempo. I love it when the older skiers do well in races because it dispels many myths about the older skiers being washed up.
But Maurizio's birthday didn't matter anymore. Only the fact that he had given Italy the lead for the last 10 kilometers, the final leg. It was Giuseppe Ploner who carried the Italian hopes 1 against Ove Aunli of Norway. You remember his wife was involved in that pole tracking incident earlier.
This is one of the most pressurized situations in racing. They're less than a kilometer from the finish here and still skiing together.
Aunli had waited for the right moment to pass, and this was it. He passed Giuseppe Ploner, and Norway was in front. There were only a few more strides to go. And these were those strides that carried Norway to yet another gold.
He was disqualified for skating to the finish at the Olympics, so he poked fun by using the traditional technique here at the finish.
But the skating controversy remained unresolved.
At the close of these World Championships, the International Federation of Skiing made a landmark decision to experiment with restricting skating for the rest of the World Cup season. We're not sure exactly what form these experiments will take, but probably certain sections of a course will now be banned from skating. This has led to speculation that a new circuit needs to be found, one in which any technique which is the fastest can be used.
And so for now, the Norwegians are the best. That is certain. It's the future of skating that is not. Still to come, the World 70-meter Ski Jumping Championship. Just a few hundred yards from the drama of cross-country, where the Olympic rings still hang proudly at the Olympia Shuns of the 70-meter jump at Seefeld, where the ski jumping fans still fondly remember the Scandinavian sweep of '64 and the East Germans battling the home Austrians down to the wire in '76. We're here today to crown a world champion once again on the 70-meter hill at Seefeld in the World Championships of '85. Hi, everybody. I'm Al Trautwig, along with former Olympic ski jumper and the manager of the Olympic ski jumps at Lake Placid, Jay Rand. Jay, this week we've seen so many great jumpers here on the 70-meter hill, and we know they're going to have so many close jumps, so many in the high 80-meter, 90-meter range. What does that do to the jumping?
Well, Al, on a 70-meter jump, hill isn't quite as long as a 90-meter jump, and the speed is a little less. So the jumpers are going to be landing closer together, going to have such a spread. And what this means is that style is going to play an extremely important role. And in ski jumping, you have 5 judges that give out style points. And they look for things like aggressiveness at the takeoff, smoothness of the air flight, and a steady landing.
We'll show you some of those stylish things today in our jumping. Now, the other thing the jumpers have been talking about is the physical characteristic of the jump itself.
Yes, one of the particulars about this jump is that the takeoff hangs. It hangs more than normal. Believe it or not, the jump doesn't kick upward at the end. It hangs downward. And this one hangs 12 degrees, and most 70-meter jumps only hang about 10. So that jumper is really going to have to belt that takeoff to give him enough height to go carry way down that hill.
65 jumpers, distance and style points from 2 jumps to determine the world champion. Jens Weissflog of East Germany in front. Michael Holland of the U.S. is in 6th. And at the top of the jump right now here in Seefeld is Andreas Felder of Austria, currently the World Cup leader. And with the town of Absam so close to Seefeld, his friends and relatives watch from below.
Out of the start, in a nice, relaxed position, going about 55 miles an hour into the air, rotates forward. Extremely long, good landing.
90.5 meters for Felder. And great style points.
And this is what makes Felder go down that hill. He compresses into the takeoff, rolls it over, so he's almost parallel with the ground. Beautiful body curve, and into a good landing.
That jump is certainly on the mind now of 28-year-old veteran Per Bergerud, who has already captured the 90-meter championship at these World Championships. He was going to quit after Sarajevo, but here he is.
And Bergerud is a consistent jumper. Nothing dynamic, but he's got everything together, and he does on this jump, too. He's a little deep in the landing. Oh, he caught a tip, and he's down. This could cause the competition if the judges decide that he was not steady going through the transition.
Jay, 89.5 meters, but I don't think the judges took any style points away.
No, they didn't. They must have decided that he was steady going onto the flats. Therefore, they wouldn't deduct any points.
So this is one event the Norwegians won't win. Bergerud in 2nd place, and the wind gets stronger and stronger. Michael Holland up next. He's in 6th place. We asked him how the season's been going.
So far, it's been pretty good. Training went really well this summer, and then the transition from the plastic in the summer to the snow in the winter was a hard transition. It kind of started out slow, but then it's been picking up ever since. Had a lot of good jumps in training, and unfortunately, all the good jumps have been in training, and only a few pretty good ones have been in the competitions. But I'm happy with how the season's been so far, overall.
The wind's not going to scare Mike. I saw him have the longest jump, 90 meters in practice. And there he's got good shin compression, upper body's low. And he's done it. He's got a beautiful takeoff, as good as I've seen. It's long. Little trouble on the landing, but he's going to be happy with that jump.
Jay, 89 meters. Lost some style points, though. 209.6. He's really pumped up. We'll have to see how this stands up. He's in 4th, and Americans don't do this very often.
His weight was a little back when he landed, and it caused him to be stiff and unsteady through the curve. He lost a couple of points from the judges.
So the standings, the Austrians hopeful. Andreas Felder in front, and Michael Holland looking for the best American finish ever, his fate to be determined. Of Finland, he is 25 years old and was the bronze medalist on the 70-meter hill in Sarajevo. He comes to us from Lahti, Finland, and is the last remaining Scandinavian hope.
Weekenden has an unusual in-run position. His seat is a little higher than a lot of jumpers. But it doesn't seem to bother him. A great jump except the landing. His weight was back. He won't get great points for that.
Absolutely right, Jay. 87.5 meters, that's not bad, but the style points hurt him. 210.9, and Puikinen is out of medal contention. And the highly prejudiced Austrian fans now are wondering whether Andreas Felder distance and points will stand up. Here is a very explosive Ernst Vettori, also from Austria, from the same town, Felder. He is 20 years old, and most consider him the future of Austrian jumping.
And he really gets a lot of height. He's erratic. His skis were wavering around, and it's a little unsteady in the landing, but it is long.
Not as long as Felder's, 88 meters. The points are good, though, 12.5. Vettori is very, very close.
He hits that takeoff with everything he has, and sometimes it throws him off, and you can see the skis wavering up and down there. The judges will take a few points off for that. The idea was there in the landing, but he just didn't put it in forcefully enough.
Meanwhile, the leader after the first round waits. The 70-meter Olympic champion, Jens Weissflog, 20 years old, from East Germany. He weighs 120 pounds and has that rosy-cheeked baby face that you just saw.
Weissflog can move that 120 pounds out and like a cobra. There he goes, pressing it. A great jump, except for the landing. A little wide, but he didn't need one. Oh, there he goes, threw it in there, just to impress the judges.
The distance not as long as Felder's, but more than enough for Jens Weissflog. 225.3, a very comfortable margin victory.
And Weissflog can really move that 120-pound frame into the air, and he knows exactly where to put the pressure on to get over his skis, and there he floats down into what's not a real stylish landing, but he just didn't even need those points.
9 points, better than 9 points, the margin of victory. Jens Weissflog, the class of the field. And so these are the World Championship standings. Michael Holland of the U.S. finishes 8th, a very impressive finish. We'd like to thank our friends at Austrian Television.